Okay, good morning, everyone. So can we have the Mkango presentation, please? Well, Mkango is a rare earths company. We're focused on developing a project in Malawi. And let me just skip through this. So why are we excited about rare earths? Well, they are key components in electric motors for electric vehicles. So cobalt and lithium and graphite go into the batteries. Rare earths go into magnets, which go into electric motors. So clearly, with the growth profile coming through from electric vehicles, that's what is going to be driving the rare earth sector. So each electric vehicle, so battery electric vehicles, hybrid electric vehicles, use about 1 kilogram of rare earths in the electric motor. So based on growth from a few million to 32 million over the next few years, we're expecting to see very significant increase in rare earths demand, and in particular, neodymium and praseodymium, which are the key rare earths used in electric vehicles. So we're expecting demand in those two rare earths to go from 3,000 tons a year to 28,000 tons. That is about a doubling in demand for neodymium and praseodymium by 2030. So very significant demand growth. And where is that supply going to come from? Well, we are very well positioned. We got an advanced stage project in Malawi. Our feasibility study is underway. It's fully funded by a strategic partner. So we're very well positioned for that demand growth coming in. The project, as I mentioned, is in Malawi. Malawi is a great place to work. We've been working there for over 10 years now. Very strong relationships with local communities and government. We have a very big focus on sustainable development and corporate social responsibility. And I think certainly in the rare earth sector, that will set our project apart from a lot of other sources of production, is that sustainable production. And clearly, those electric vehicle manufacturers want to make sure that their rare earths are coming from properly compliant sources and consistent with sustainable development goals. We're also investing in downstream technologies. Recently announced an investment in hypermag, University of Birmingham spin-out, which is focused on recycling of rare earth magnets. Very strong financial position. We've got a consolidated cash position of about $11 million US, and that is fully funding our feasibility study. So the timeline is feasibility study next year. So we're looking to get that done by the end of next year, first production 2022. We got a very strong strategic partner. They've invested £12 million in the asset to date for a 49% interest. Importantly, we have a pathway to production. So following completion of that bankable feasibility study, Talaxis, our strategic partner, have an option to fund the equity. So that'll be around 100 to 150 million, and a range of project finance for an additional 26%. So we do have a pathway to production. When we finish that bankable feasibility study, Talaxis exercise the option, and then we'll be left with a 25% free carried interest in one of the very few producing rare earth mines outside China. They've also invested £1 million in Magneto, which is a subsidiary we set up to look at downstream technologies, for a 24.5% interest. So that funded the recently announced investment in the recycling business. So the investments were at the project level, so no more dilution to top company shareholders, and that's really why we structured the transaction in this way. Experienced board and management team. We've been with the company since inception. Myself and Alex Lemon set up the business, and we've taken it from an early stage to a pre-feasibility study in 2015. Got a very strong board of directors. Strengthened last year the appointment of Susan Muir, who's ex-Investor Relations Barrick Gold, Sandra Totoint, who's with Standard Bank, a lot of experience in project financing, Adrian Reynolds on the board of Randgold Resources, one of Africa's real success stories. So this project, as I mentioned, we've taken it to the pre-feasibility stage in 2015, updated resource last year, and the BFS is underway based on that updated resource. It was 60% larger than the pre-feasibility study resource, and you can see just graphically there the size of that resource. We've also got a substantial measured resource, no more drilling required, so really now we can focus on getting that bankable feasibility study done. It's open to depth, and it'll be an open pit mining operation. Malawi is a great place to work. As I mentioned before, we've been working there for over 10 years. Very supportive government. There's a new mining act that's recently come in, and which was put in place with World Bank support. It's a rare earth mineral province, and there's a lot of infrastructure development as well, and that's really unlocking potential in the country. We've got a road all the way to site. It's about 2 hours drive from an international airport, paved roads most of the way. There's a railhead in Blantyre, which is the commercial centre of Malawi. So we'll bring reagents in and ship out product along that railway line. So this sets us apart from a lot of other rare earth companies. For rare earths to produce a value-added product, you need infrastructure, and that'll also reduce our capex as well. So our capex, based on the pre-feasibility study, was around 200 million. If Talaxis exercise their option, they'll fund that capex. And that capex is amongst the lowest in the sector. Key components, mine planning is underway at the moment. Metallurgy is underway in Australia. We'll be commencing the pilot testing for the processing flow sheet in the coming weeks and months. Environmental, social, health impact assessment being done to World Bank standards in accordance with Equator principles. As I mentioned before, CSR, corporate social responsibility, is a key focus for the company. We have numerous projects in the local area, a lot of support from local communities, largely focused on supporting schools. For example, we teamed up with a Birmingham charity, and we built kitchens and dining rooms. They supplied the food, and that program is now feeding around 2,000 children a day in local communities, increasing educational capacity in the area. And that's just one example of what we're doing for the local communities. I mentioned the hypermag investment. This is a technology whereby using hydrogen you can extract a rare earth magnet from complex components. That could be a hard disk drive, a mobile phone, or an electric vehicle. We're investing £300,000 for a 25% increase, with the option to increase that, working with top experts in the field. And this really just adds another string to our bow. It's underpinned by the very substantial resource we have in Malawi and the feasibility study. This enables us to get close to the customer and the consumers of those rare earth magnets. And we're getting a huge amount of support from, and recycling gets a huge amount of interest and support from, for example, from the European Union and in the UK. And it's complementary to what we're doing in Malawi with the primary production. News flow, completion of commencement of pilot testing, completion of the feasibility study, signing of definitive agreements with hypermag, and as I mentioned before, targeting production 2022. Share price at the moment, we announced the transaction in November 2017, and got a bump up in share price. That has been pretty well supported, underpinned by a strong cash position. So we're pretty much trading at cash at the moment, and we're listed in Canada and the UK. Undervalued versus the peer group. Australian rare earth companies trade at about 50 to 100 million. We're about a $10 million company, a lot of upside. The implied value from the Talaxis transaction is about 100 to 150 million. So if they exercise that option, that should trigger that sort of value uplift and news flow in the meantime. And I'll just leave you with the investment case. Strong price outlook, fully funded BFS underway, great jurisdiction, downstream growth opportunities, and very undervalued versus the peer group. Thank you very much.